How you going, people? It's a video that Sheepdog sent me, and it's got some interesting things. So I did the video earlier on where the cops used Instagram, and I talked about a Stagel warrant, and there was a lot of people that were kind of concerned about what a Stagel, and they looked it up. So if you search Stagel, you're going to get Stagel versus United States. And let's see, Supreme Court held based on the Fourth Amendment. That's your unreasonable search and seizure where you need a warrant. A police officer may not conduct a warrantless search of a third party's home in an attempt to apprehend a subject of an arrest warrant absent consent or exigent circumstances. What are the three ways you get into a house? Warrant, consent, or exigent circumstances. That's it. Those are the only three ways you can get in. So, the Stagel warrant addressed that, and people wanting to look it up. So, here that is. A couple questions on the Stagel warrant from the other video is, what about plain sight? Does this override plain sight? Well, it doesn't override it. Plain sight is always acceptable. The only thing that plain sight you have to fulfill, a requirement, is you have to be where you're allowed to be. If I unlawfully enter your house, I'm not supposed to be there. Plain sight doesn't work. If I enter your house with a warrant, I'm allowed to be there. Plain sight, therefore, is good. If you invite me in your house and I see something, I'm allowed to be in there because of consent, therefore, plain sight works. If I chase somebody through your house in a hot pursuit, exigency circumstances, and as we run through the door, I see coke all over the table, I'm allowed to be there because I'm chasing the guy, therefore plain sight works. The only time plain sight doesn't work is if the cop is not allowed to be where he is at when he saw the things in plain sight. Let's go back to this other video. So everybody already knows that I am huge anti-mask. This is the worst thing that law enforcement had ever done. It makes us look like a third world country. It makes us look like we're scared. It makes it look like we have no law and order. That this officer is so important that he has to hide his face in order to do his job. You know what? If he's that important and he shouldn't show his face, he shouldn't be running around with a freaking police vest on carrying a gun. If he wants to play undercover cop, then be undercover. Don't play undercover cop, cover your face, and then who thinks that if somebody knows this guy because his face is covered, they're not going to know who he is? Who thinks that if this guy has written tickets or arrested or is working undercover, because that's what they're using for the mask, he's working undercover, people might recognize him? Who thinks by the fact of the lack of tattoos, by looking at his hand, his build, who thinks hearing his voice that somebody couldn't ID him because he covers his face? I'm a huge anti cover your face crap by the government. But anyway, let's get to this video.
We are learning new details one day after dramatic video shows a masked undercover detective holding a gun barging into a couple's apartment.
Tonight, he has been relieved of duty, and the police chief tells us the detective did not have a warrant. CBS 4's Peter Dench spoke with the chief and the couple. He joins us live from Opelika.
And Elliot, the mayor's active. That's why they wanted to move quickly, and that man is grateful action has been taken.
Nobody told you to come here.
Opelika's police chief says he is concerned about this video posted on Facebook last Thursday by Jeffrey Byron and his girlfriend.
You notice there's several officers outside? Well, Rick, why did he go in with the mask? Why wouldn't one of the uniforms go in? Well, that would be smart. Normally, you want a uniformed officer doing things like this. You don't want a masked guy in civilian clothes who could be playing cop. Hey, here's a tip for all you crooks out there. Get you a mask and get you some yellow letters, and then you can run around and be this guy. I mean, it's just freaking crazy. So anyway, I'm kind of, I don't know if he should have been relieved of duty. I don't know the call of this. Remember, he's in this house. He doesn't have a warrant. Does he need a warrant? Raise your hand if you think he needs a warrant. No, you big dummy. He needs consent, a warrant, or exigency. So if he had the other two, he could be in there. Did he have consent? No, the owner said, I didn't give you permission. So he doesn't have consent and he doesn't have a warrant. What's the other reason he can get in there? Exigency. What is exigency? An emergency, something that needs immediate attention that precludes an officer from taking the time to go get a warrant and needs immediate attention to save life, prevent destruction of evidence, to stop a fleeing suspect. So, without knowing the call, does anybody know if we have exigency or not? You shouldn't. I don't know. I didn't know he didn't have. I was like, I'm looking at this going, well, maybe he had exigency. What's the call? They had a call of a man in a white shirt running around with a gun in the neighborhood.
It shows a detective with his face covered and holding a gun in front of the couple's 8-month-old son. The detective had no search warrant.
At that point, we would have needed either a verbal consent.
Mayor, Chief, white officer. Nothing to see here. All right, let's get back to this.
New cell phone video from Byron shows the aftermath of this incident as he asked a nearby.
At that point, we would have needed either a verbal consent from the homeowner themselves or a written warrant from a judge.
Okay, when he said a verbal consent, there is written consent, and some agencies require consent to be written. They won't let an officer search because they've had too many problems where officers say, oh yeah, he gave me verbal, and the guy goes, I never gave him verbal. So they require written consent. And normally, just as a matter of good police work, if you have time to talk and get a written consent, it's better in court. The guy can't pull it later. If it goes bad and now the guy's pissed at you, he's going to say he never gave it to you. So anytime you can get it written is usually a good idea. I don't think it ought to be mandatory, but it's a good idea.
This new cell phone video from Byron shows the aftermath of this incident as he asks a nearby officer he knows for help. The undercover detective entered the wrong apartment after a call to Crime Stoppers.
The Crime Stopper tip came in that there was a male. They gave a clothing description of a white T-shirt.
So you notice the officer did not say it was a black male. He said it was a male. That changes if the caller said it was a black male with a white shirt. It changes if it says the caller said it was a black male with a white shirt and black shorts. It changes if the caller said it was a black male with a white shirt, black short, wearing sandals. Now, all of this changes, and this is where it comes back to totality of circumstances. You need to know what was in the officer's mind, what the officers knew when the officer took the action. That's what the investigation will do. The guy's relieved of duty. He's getting pay. I can't believe they relieved him of duty of this. I mean, this isn't rocket science. They could have done this investigation in 2 hours. You do a neighborhood canvas, you get statements, you grab, if anybody's got a video, you look at it, and you listen to the call. And you say the guy acted reasonable or he didn't. The fact that they relieved him of duty leads me to believe it was either a PC call, let's relieve him of duty to calm down the doctor candidates, and we don't want them missing any school and upsetting their doctor studies, or if it wasn't a PC move, the chief kind of has their eye on this guy and they found a reason that they can probably jam him up. So they relieved him. And now they're going to do a big dog and pony show. But anyway, exigency, consent, warrant.
That was running in the community itself with a handgun, harassing residents.
So, do you think a court or a jury would convict this cop of unlawful entry because he entered the apartment that was next door to the apartment of a black male in a white shirt that was carrying a gun, and that was the call? Does anybody think that a jury would convict that? I don't. I think that's ridiculous. But I don't know all the circumstances and facts on this case.
Anytime a gun's involved, the officers, it's a danger for the officers and also the community at large.
But Chief James Dobson said this warranted the detective being relieved of duty with pay, pending the investigation.
But we're very serious about this investigation. It's going to be transparent.
Oh my God, here we go. Ain't nobody got no hair in this city? So we're going to be transparent. Of course we are. Government's always transparent when they get caught.
And it would be professionally done.
This new administration in the city of Opelika seeks to be the most transparent and responsible.
Oh man, this is a shocker. A mayor supporting his police chief. Wow. Who would have predicted that?
Government in the state of Florida.
There was a swift reaction for Byron and his girlfriend.
Good Lord. Has she got any skin that doesn't have any tattoos? Rick, you can't say that. You're a tattooist. I'm just saying. She got all this money to get all these tattoos.
Friend Stephanie Crespo, the parents of Major Byron Jr.
I'm more focused on being happy that he is off the streets and they handling this situation, because this is not the only time people was made a complaint about this particular officer.
How does he know how many people complained about this officer? Man, that is transparent. If every citizen in the whole city knows every complaint on every officer, damn, they are transparent. There's a little spot right there you missed where your tattoos.
I'm glad that they got him off, out for right now, and I hope that it stays like that.
How he handled his situation is real crazy, and he was just a loose cannon.
Now, the detective is not being named because he works undercover. The chief tells us that he's been with the department for 15 years and has had no serious issues in the past.
He works undercover. Anybody want to bet me plain fare and $1,000 a day that I can go down to this town and identify this officer within 12 hours? Just by doing a little questions and looking at pictures. I mean, this guy don't work undercover. He covers his face, which is the big problem, and which damn sure ain't transparency when the chief and the mayor is talking about, we're transparent. You're so transparent, you got cops covering their faces? That's how transparent you are? Yeah, you're pretty transparent there. You got cops covering their faces. That's transparent. All right, we'll end that there.